For me, basketball is my sanctuary. It's my happy place. Like I always say, some people like to play the game. Like, I have to play. Some of my darkest moments in my life have been because I couldn't play. Since I was a kid, basketball has been that place where I can go and nothing bothers you.
The NBA has a rule that teams have to be available during the playoffs, so the Clippers couldn't hide, right? And on top of that, they needed to practice. So less than 24 hours after this tape comes out, the team has a practice at the University of San Francisco. It was really clear that this has become a national and in some ways an international story in a span of 12 hours.
I remember sitting there like, oh boy, this is not one of those things you're gonna joke your way through. This is big news. That was it, though. That was the beginning of the fire.
Donald Sterling's racist attitudes have been on public display, and nobody did one thing about it.
When ignorant folks want to advertise their ignorance, you don't really have to do anything. You just let them talk.
You really don't like us. You really don't want us around. You really want us to stay in our place.
All I gotta say is, we're all off the plantation.
The real shame is that what we have heard on this audio recording, if we did a David Letterman-style top 10 list of most racist things attributed to Donald Sterling, it wouldn't even make the top 10.
An exciting night in the NBA, but it wasn't MJ or the Bobcats that LeBron was talking about after the game.
No, it wasn't. On a day when there was great action on the court, the focus was off it. And the reported comments made by Clippers owner Donald Sterling, comments LeBron James didn't take lightly.
There's no room for that in our game. We've found a way to make this the greatest game in the world. And for comments like that, it taints our game, and we can't have that.
All of us were incredibly appreciative of LeBron James, who came out, unsolicited and spoke on behalf of what I believe to be every black person alive when he sat up there and said, this man has no place in this game.
I think LeBron is one of the most, outside of Muhammad Ali, one of the most woke superstars we've ever had as far as speaking up against the bullshit.
Those statements don't hit the same if you're like the third string point guard.
Mm-hmm. It always has to be LeBron.
Yeah, but it's often never LeBron. And if you look at the history of the NBA up to LeBron, it's never been LeBron. So for him to be like, get this dude out of here.
Right.
What came after get him out of there is like a hidden or else, in parentheses,
I first learned of the tape when I woke up on a Saturday morning. It was in April in my apartment in New York City. I almost couldn't believe it was actually Donald Sterling saying those things. This was very early on in my commissionership, so this was certainly the first time that I was in charge of something of this magnitude.
The team had issued a statement in the aftermath of this that questioned the validity of the tape, a statement that said, this isn't who we are, this isn't what we believe in, this isn't what Donald Sterling believes in.
We had the worst press release in sports history when it first came out. It was more defending Donald Sterling. That was embarrassing.
Donald Sterling, one thing that's lost, he's someone at the time I had known for 22 years. He at the time was one of my 30 bosses. But I work for the owners collectively. I don't work for any single owner. And on any given day, my responsibility is to the NBA as a whole. I realized that we were going to have to mobilize immediately.
When the tape first came out about Donald Sterling, I thought of it as just, this is an opportunity to let people know the truth about who this person is. I did not think the NBA would take any action. I didn't really see the NBA having done anything for the previous 3 decades. So why would this be different?
If you go back to the mid-2000s, everything a player did, was front page news. If a player stubbed his toe, somebody had something to say about it, right? But the owners were not being held accountable. So to me, the hypocrisy was a problem.
It's official. The NBA has a dress code policy beginning this season. Players must dress in business casual attire during any team or league business. So expect to see sport jackets and slacks rather than throwback jerseys and T-shirts.
There was a lot of paternalism to how David Stern ran the National Basketball Association, particularly in his last years. David Stern believed in there being a dress code. He believed in being the arbiter of punishment for players. When they had Iverson on the NBA-sanctioned magazine called Hoop, they airbrushed his tattoos out. And there were all sorts of reasons why David Stern felt like he had to take this strong hand. He wanted to sell a majority black sport to a majority white audience. I think he felt like he needed to show that there was a strong white guy in charge.
Donald Sterling is a creature of the David Stern era. And there were people who were complaining about Sterling for a long time, and under Stern's leadership, nothing was really done about it.
Mr. Sterling, the accusations, are you a racist, Mr. Sterling?
No, of course not. I listened to the tape, and I thought it would make for scintillating debate and discussion. There'll be conversations about, race, but I truly expected that Donald Sterling, much as he had done already, would just simply get away with it.
People want to know, Mr. Sterling.
Okay,
are you a racist? The accusations, are they true?
Oh, forget it. It's not true.
Not true?
No, of course not.
What I certainly misjudged at that time was the degree to which the players would pick up the mantle.
Words hurt. I was always taught to fight. So at an early age, 9 years old, I remember my dad telling me if they call you a nigger, fight them.
I was shocked. I was disappointed. I was mad. I mean, 85% of the team is black. You know what I'm saying?
I think I figured this out a few years ago. It's not necessarily what the fans or what the people think. I think it's more so about my kids. If something happens and it's not right and I don't say something about it, then my kids are just looking at me like, oh, that must be okay with you. And I need my kids to know that, if they feel strongly about a situation, they have to speak up about it.
I had a feeling the players were going to respond. These are players that have to be in the same building with this man frequently. He's in an authority position over them. And how bad would the NBA look if they tried to silence people who were victimized by his remarks? I thought, oh yeah, the NBA is in trouble because you heard the dreaded B word, boycott. And that's when I knew that the players were not going to let this one go.